we're gonna be delving into Young Father's new album, Cocoa Sugar.
How young are these fathers?
They're like 13 years old. They were on Dr. Phil last year. I mean, they're doing better.
These young fathers are just too young. Too young fathers.
We need to revise the law. No more fathers.
No more fathers.
Ever.
No more fathers to speak of.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Young Fathers are a band from Edinburgh, Scotland.
Trio from Edinburgh, Scotland.
Well, whatever, trio band. There were 3 members in this band. Cocoa Sugar's their 3rd album. Fun fact, their first album, Dead, actually won the Mercury Award in 2014. This is a really highly esteemed award, also won by the likes of Benjamin Clementine, Skepta, Sampha, last year actually, James Blake, Alt J, PJ Harvey, Franz Ferdinand, Arctic Monkeys. A lot of big names have been winning these awards, and quite honestly, acts that I enjoy.
Yeah, usually I don't care for the short list, but like usually the right one wins. The only time I was unsure about that is Skepta. Skepta's last
It's just funny going from it's funny going from Benjamin Clementine, Skepta, and then Sampha.
But like Skepta, like I didn't really care for Konnichiwa.
I think it's very culturally significant.
Like Grime's fucking huge over there now.
Yeah,
and it's gonna like I feel like it's
everybody's super dirty.
Yeah, Grime over there is basically trap for us. Well, they have trap, but it's like
it's just not.
It's called their
grime is our southern trap.
Yeah, their Skepta and Wiley are our Migos, which I don't know.
I prefer Skepta.
Honestly, I would take Stormzy, who I don't even care for that much, over Migos any fucking day of the week.
Stop Migos 2K18.
Hashtag.
Never forget it.
And then we're gonna have to also strap Travis Scott before he starts. Just like.
We've got to strap him down. He has to have a good talking to and say,
"You're too young of a father.
Don't make this album bad. You cannot have a kid,
or else I'm going to put you on a bucking bronco and send you back to the rodeo.
You are done for." So yeah, Young Fathers, Cocoa Sugar. In an interview with The Guardian, they actually said they were trying to create more normal music, and they used a lot more like hooks and melodic lines, which quite honestly, like I liked Young Fathers' earlier discography, which I've since delved into upon, I guess, knowing this was on the schedule.
Yeah.
And I guess I had no problem with them delving into normal music because I still feel like they put their own flair into everything that they do. It has still really weird production, and they kind of they delve into pop and hip hop sounds, but they flip the entire idea on their heads and make these really bizarre sounding tracks that still kind of have the core spirit of these genres, but in a Young Father's flavor.
Speaking of some of the previous discography, the project I've listened to pieces of Dead. I'm most familiar with White Man or Black Man 2. I like that album overall, but like some of my problems with it is just there's some tracks I just couldn't vibe with. Whether it was I felt like the production just didn't match some of the performances, or I thought the songwriting was a little bit too weird and didn't really have a purpose. But I think their vocal performances are what that made that album so great. But there's like you take songs like 27 and Shame. Shame's a brilliant track. It's just so beautiful. Rain or Shine's an excellent moment on that album, and I was interested going into this because I like the track in my view, and there's a couple other singles that were released. I know I think was it Gospel? I always forget Lord and Jack Antonoff. That was the name of the track.
I love that
the track Lord, which when I heard it last year when it was released, I was kind of unsure about it because it reminded me of the track Only God Knows, which is the track they did for the Trainspotting 2 album, which I really enjoyed that track a lot.
I forgot they did that.
But it was their attempt at making a gospel track, and I thought it worked out really well, whereas Lord was like the slower version of that, where it wasn't as groovy, where it wasn't as punchy, and I felt it kind of like lost itself. In the context of this album, I liked that track more, but I was still kind of like unsure how this album was going to sound. I didn't really listen to Toy before that came on the project. I knew that was released as a single, but I wanted to listen to this thing in full because I knew it was going to be I knew I was going to be kind of like I wanted to listen to it how it sounded as an album, and as an album I think it flows well together pretty well. Vocal performances anytime they rap, it's fucking amazing. Their vocal performance rapping are great. Their hooks, the ones that aren't super choiry or gospel-y, I think actually play out well. You mentioned Toy. Broken Little Toy. Reminds me of a lot of the moments I liked on White Man or Black Man, too. And overall, the vocal performances are the strongest thing. Production is what I just can't vibe with. I feel like there's just too many just kind of like basic production choices. The keys I don't really vibe with that much on this album. Like the 808s that show up I really don't vibe with. When it gets more into like a deeper electric instrumental basis, like some of their previous work does, I think it works out way better. But when it's going for a more slower emotional track like See How, I really do not care for that track. Nothing wrong with it personally. I do think the vocal performances stand out a ton, but production wise it just doesn't do anything for me. I have some problems with Fee-Fi. Fee-Fi starts off with just a ridiculously stupid hook, and I don't think it's able to keep that intensity in its like songwriting throughout the entire track. I think its vocal performances, that's the one where like I expected to be utterly insane, but I'm kind of disappointed in the end. But there's, again, some tracks I really enjoy. I like the track, In My View, My Belly Underwater.
That's a really good one.
I think he actually says, put my belly on a woman, I'm barely underwater. I forget what he says, but like
it doesn't make any sense.
None of this album really makes that much sense, but like I think, again,
that's kind of what the point was kind of just to turn pop music into their own thing.
And one thing I don't want to forget, the fucking album art to this.
It's scary.
It's like it's so weird. Like that's what makes iconic.
Do you remember? For anybody, do you remember at the end of Rugrats when the Classy Supo logo came on and there was that like really creepy robot that was like Classy Supo? Yeah, that's what this reminds me of.
Can you show me what it looks like?
Yeah, this thing.
I don't know if it reminds me of that. I actually put it on visual for you YouTube watchers, but yeah, I don't get that from this, but I do like the album art. I think it does take a huge risk. It's very strange looking. It's like very contemporary modern art, very surreal. Really enjoy it. But again, I mentioned kind of what this album suffers for. Again, production-wise, is its biggest complaint, and the fact that it has a lot of these catchy hooks, but I don't feel like on some tracks it's able to like really use them all the way. What do you personally enjoy about this album?
Really, I just like I've said a couple times now, I really just like how they made pop music their own. They made what is often seen as like an overdone genre into something completely new and completely unconventional. Songs like In My View, that's my favorite track on the album. But I also like things like Border Girl, that's completely off the wall. It doesn't really fit with anything else, but it still works really well. Tremolo, wow, it's so stupid, but it's fun. Tracks like Toy, it reminds me of Devo,
yeah,
a new wave artist.
Yeah. When are we gonna start the Trevor's New Wave corner?
Probably after the Kanye quarter.
Okay, so in 4 months.
Yeah, or it's gonna be a while.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of big ideas here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just really like, as I've said like before and time again, I'm just a sucker for like good, strange production.
Yeah, and I feel like another complaint I have with this album, the track Picking You, I feel like it's just kind of a lackluster closer.
It's definitely a disappointing closer.
I think it shouldn't have been there. I think Toy was so much a better moment. Actually, in all honesty, I think Lord would have been a perfect closer. Like, I feel like that would have just been a great closer, and it being in the middle of the album, I like it, but like, I feel like it would have just been amazing. I do not really care for Picking You that much. It just doesn't. It's just kind of too much of the same that we've already kind of heard. Don't really care for it. But personal tracks, I do like on this album. I like Fee-Fi for the most part. I like In My View. I like Turn. I like Tremolo, how they make reference to the highs and your lows life having importance, and then they also use the Tremolo effect, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I like Wow, Border Girl, Holy Ghost, Wire I think is cool. There's some good moments on here.
There's a lot of really good moments.
I think of this project as like a cohesive piece. It's hard for me to like differentiate tracks from each other because like I think it's just a blur for me. More than a lot of other albums that I've listened to this year. I think it just fits well together as an album. Very cohesive, as I mentioned again, except for I think Picking You is just a weak moment to end out on. But everything flows well together. I like their weird songwriting. I like their vocal performances, even though I feel like on some tracks they're just not able to deliver as well as I think they did on some White Man or Black Man too. But other than that, some of the production on Weak, See How, easiest example of that. Picking You, also another example of that. Just like I feel like some of the sounds just get reproduced over and over again. I feel like I hear a lot of the piano over the course of the album. It doesn't really ruin some of these tracks because I think the vocal performances and the songwriting make up for that. Make up for some of the like production I personally do not care for. And sometimes there's some like fucking slamming production, like on the track Holy Ghost. I think that's just insane and out there. But yeah, I do like this album, and I think overall it needed to be just a little bit better produced. It needed to be better produced. That's my biggest problem, and I think the songwriting can also improve. I think it is very strange and out there, but at the same time, I don't know what they're talking about on a lot of these subjects. So you run into kind of like They Might Be Giants territory, which is a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's you can take it or leave
Lifetime
it.
Achievement
Award. Say it before I say it again. But yeah, I'm left wanting more from this project, but I did get a fill. I think this album's gonna grow on me as time goes on. This is the one I'm most excited to listen to in the future. Like not the artist, but this album in particular, because I feel like I haven't really experienced this in full yet. I've listened to this like 5 times at this point. I think I need to listen to it a couple more. Like I just feel like I haven't experienced this enough. I do like this project. Overall, I'm gonna give this an 8.3 out of 10. Did like it. I just wanted more.
Nice. Yeah, I was actually gonna give it an 8.25. It's really solid, and there's a lot to digest here. If the lyrics are about anything, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I've got to dive more into it. And I feel like there's just like a lot of musical elements that are all happening at the same time that I am probably missing a lot of things. Yeah. That's just kind of one of the joys of re-listening to
projects like this.
Yeah, to projects like this is there's always something new that you pick up on for every listen through. Yeah. I'm definitely excited to pick it up at like in the future.
Yeah.